Welcome to College SportsCast. This is the Big Fuss Final Four preview and pick show. We are here to give you the breakdowns for the semifinal matchups.
Can I please have your attention? It's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
All right, guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. We've got John Hammonds on here with me. Again, he is busy keeping up with all the ins and outs of everything. What's up, Hammonds?
Not much, man.
All right, so we are here on Facebook and YouTube, and if you're on Facebook with us, we appreciate you. You can help support us by sending stars, or better yet, you can sign up for 99 cents a month. It does help us earn a little bit of money to keep making these for you guys and supporting us. But what it gives you is it gives you your own chat and your own subscribers page. So for 99 cents a month, that's a bargain of the century. That's what I keep telling everybody.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we are here. The Final Four matchups are set, men's and women's. This is Wednesday night, Friday night. The women's Final Four will begin, John. The women's Final Four is in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
They are in Tampa. Matter of fact, the teams are already there. They're taking team pictures and doing all that this week. So we are going to start with some news and hot topics, though. And I've got one that I found that I thought was pretty interesting, really. And I'm going to start with it. Let me get to a little link that I have for it. But so today, there was a report on NIL. And I wanted to kind of run through some of this with you guys. I thought it was pretty interesting. So everybody thinks that college sports is dominated by football, and these athletes are getting paid a lot more money and have a lot more NIL through college basketball than football. And I found this kind of interesting today, and I thought I would kind of talk about this off the top of the show. So the players who dominate name, image, and likeness, North Carolina's R.J. Davis and USC's Juju Watkins lead all male and female athletes in endorsements over the past 12 months. This is according to a sponsorship data company called Sponsor United. That is where this report is from. Okay, Davis leads all male athletes with 25 NIL deals. He has 25 NIL deals himself. Okay, R.J. Davis. All right. Now, there is an Arizona punter that has 21. Cash P is his name. Arizona punter. Go figure. I don't know that one. But he's followed by Travis Hunter has 19. Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers and LSU basketball player Trace Young have 17. That's the top 5 male athletes. And then the female athletes, Juju Watkins leads with 20 NIL deals. The Cavender twins are second, tied with 18 from Miami. UConn's Paige Beckers and Oregon's Deja Kelly have 16. and Flajay Johnson has 15. So they're out of all of those top 5 on male and female, John. I find it interesting that like 8 of the 10 are basketball players.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's a little bit? You think football dominates everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at football the last 2 to 3 years, you'd think about how dominant football would be. But, you look at the new NIL deals, you look at the new pay for play. I mean, it's getting really big in college basketball.
It is. What's up, Jerry? Jerry says he was bored with TV, so he realized we were on and says, LOL. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. Jerry's on with us a lot, so don't let Jerry confuse you. So, all right. So here's a couple of quotes that I found pretty interesting. So this NIL company is saying that the economy has grown the NIL economy has grown into a $1 billion business in college sports, guys. $1 billion business. Basketball consistently dominates NIL deals because it perfectly combines visibility, personality, and cultural impact. Sponsor United CEO Bob Lynch told ESPN. Players like Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins aren't just athletes, they're compelling storytellers whose careers are closely followed from high school through college, Lynch said, adding that basketball culture resonates on a massive scale with NIL. I just thought it was pretty interesting to kind of go through some of this and to see the top athletes. 8 of the top 10 are influenced by basketball that have the most NIL deals. I thought it was kind of interesting, John. I thought we'd start off the top of the show with that. I do want to get to some awards that was announced today. Juju Watkins wins the Naismith Women's Basketball Player of the Year. John, it's a shame she didn't get to finish the NCAA tournament and she blew out a knee. But she had a fantastic year, nearly 25 points a game, 24.6, I think. She's just a sophomore. Hopefully, she will return from that knee injury. We might see her by the tournament time next year. Maybe.
Yeah, she dominated ball this year in college. It's unfortunate she had the knee injury, knocked her out of a chance to play for a Final Four, which pretty much ultimately really demised USC's ability to really go any farther. They
Heck,
had
I thought they did pretty good getting to the Elite Eight without Juju.
Yeah,
Juju got hurt.
They had some
first quarter of the
decent
second
pieces.
game.
They had some decent pieces in the backcourt, but Juju's what makes the engine go. And unfortunately, she got hurt, and that's just part of the game. Hopefully, Juju can come back next year and show out.
All right. That's supposed to say Wooden Award. Apparently, it doesn't like when I type, but that's supposed to say Wooden Award finalists were announced today. 3 of them are playing in the Final Four that we're going to be talking about here in just a few minutes. Paige Beckers of UConn, Lauren Betts of UCLA, and Madison Booker of Texas headlined the 5 finalists for the Wooden Award. Now, those 5 finalists, the top 5, will one of those will be chosen for the Wooden Award Player of the Year. The other 2 that's on that list for the top 5 is Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame and USC's Juju Watkins. That is the top 5. John, The second five, who also made the Wooden Award finals list, the second five are Kentucky's Georgia Amore, Florida State's Tania Latson, Notre Dame's Olivia Miles, LSU's Anissa Morrow, and TCU's Haley Van Lith. Pretty good top 10 right there.
Haley deserves to be on there.
TCU's Haley Van Lith is the 10th name.
Her story is incredible. If you haven't had a chance to really hear what she has to say, she said some really bold words in her press conferences, the post game, at the Elite Eight, and then before the Sweet 16, she had a interview, and she just kind of broke it down at how college basketball shaped who she was and her mental health issues. Props to her. Haley Van Lith has went through a bunch of stuff, and props to that girl for getting on that list.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a pretty good top 10. Kentucky did have Georgia Amore on there in that top 10. I think that's an amazing list. It's an amazing accomplishment, to be quite honest with you, I believe. And just want to say congratulations to all those girls, and appreciate I just appreciate the women's game. I really love covering it. I was trying to read what he says. We're not talking about her tonight, Anthony. We talked about her on Monday night. You had to be there.
Yeah.
You had to be there, Anthony. I'm sorry. What's up, man? All right, John. I'm going to switch up and go to the men's. Cooper Flag.
Broke up. You're breaking up.
Janai Broom. Kind of.
You're breaking up really bad, Brad.
Lead the men's Wooden Award list.
Can't hear a word you said. I'm not sure, bro. It's frozen up and he's gone. He'll be back in just a minute, but what he's talking about is the Wooden Award finalists are out. Cooper Flag and Janai Broom were two of the finalists. Are you back? Are you there, Brad?
I'm here. I got some storms that's happening tonight around me. So this could get a little ugly. I'm not real sure, but it's not real good weather around me tonight, to be quite honest with you. So bear with us while we try to do this. Yes, Cooper Flag and Janai Broom lead the men's Wooden Award list. The other three that's on the top five, the first team, is Florida's Walton Clayton Jr., Alabama's Mark Sears, and Purdue's Braden Smith. That's the first team. The additional five is Houston's LJ Cryer, Marquette's Cam Jones, Creighton's Ryan Kalkbrenner, Tennessee's Chaz Lanier, which surprises me Wisconsin's John Tonje. Is that how you say his name, John?
Tonje, yeah. Tonje,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is the additional 5 that makes the Wooden Award final list. All right. Now, before we move on, John, could you hear most of that once it kicked back in?
I did,
Okay. Well, so I've got some storms and stuff going on.
Ultimately, I think Cooper Flagg's most likely going to win this. He's been the main guy all season long now. There's some probably people out there that probably think Janai Broome deserves it. I think it all depends on who you talk to and who you think's better. But the thing is,
JC wants to pick all 4 teams to lose.
The Cooper Flagg train is probably going to win this when it all settles down. And I think
they picked the winners, Stephen Decker, this weekend. I think it's in between games in the Final Four here, I think.
Yeah.
So it's within just a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. We'll know the winners. But it's during the Final Four when they pick the winners. And Jerry, yes, the weather's not good around here at all. So
no,
and bear with me because
I kind of wanted to touch.
I do have some weather stuff going on.
Before we do the pick'ems, I would like to touch on the transfer portal a little bit. Before we get into our show,
we are. I got a couple more things. Yeah, we are. I'll get to it here just real quick. But my next topic is coaching changes. There's been, Willard took the Villanova job. And then Buzz Williams pretty quickly took the Maryland job, which leaves Maryland. Buzz Williams took the Maryland job, which leaves Texas A&M open. A&M tried to get Chris Beard to come, and Chris Beard turned them down today, John. Was you surprised by that?
Not really. I mean, he's found some success at Ole Miss. He won Big 12 Coach of the Year, 2 at Texas Tech, led them to the national championship game.
I'm near Bowling Green, too. That's where
Ole Miss doesn't have a big history of basketball. This was the first year since 2002, 2001 that they made the Sweet 16. You get the right NIL funds in there. I think they can make some noise. They can put together another roster. They can make another deep run last year, next year. He had a really good group of guys this year. Brakefield, Jalen Murray. They had a really, really, really good team. And, I think just this past week
great hire by Maryland.
They picked up Pop Isaacs. So I think Ole Miss has got a lot going down there, and I think Beard wanted to stick it out and continue success at Ole Miss, and I can't much blame him.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. My surprise by it is Texas A&M has a lot of oil money, and they can afford a lot of NIL, which that was my surprise. He has done a fantastic job at Ole Miss, and he is building something there worthwhile. So that part doesn't surprise me at all.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my last question on the coaching changes. Do you think we're fixing to see a big domino effect, like one coach, like these? You got Maryland taken from Virginia, and then you got A&M taken from Maryland, and somebody's going to be taking the A&M spot. Are we going to see a huge domino effect? It's going to.
It's sort of going to be like
transfer portal open for a long time.
Yeah, it's sort of going to be like, with the players, with the coaches. like you got with Buzz Williams, Will Wade, all these coaches leaving and finding better jobs and finding placement. I'm going to tell you, I really like this hire for Maryland with Buzz Williams, and I'll tell you why. They might not be one coach in the country that is underrated than Buzz Williams. He gets the most out of his guys. They play defense. They get after you. He had Wade Taylor, probably one of the best point guards in the country, running the show for him. Now, he's going to have some tough luck here at Maryland now because he's not going to probably have those returnee guys next year. He loses Derek Queen, which is probably going to be a top pick in the NBA draft. He's going to lose Jacoby Gillespie. Last I heard, he's going to Tennessee. He loses Rice. That was another player that was really, really good. So he's going to have to rebuild A&M from scratch and redo everything over again. But I wouldn't be shocked if he put a good roster together because when Buzz Williams teams play, they get after you and they play defense and they know how to play ball. And being in the Big Ten, that's kind of up his alley, is that in your face, grind it out type game. And I think it's going to fit well with what he wants to do at Maryland.
I agree with you, all of that. I mean, to be quite honest, I think all of those were good hires. I think Kevin Willard's a good coach. I think
Willard's a good coach,
that he's a good coach as well.
I think
all of those are good hires.
I think some of the things that was the way things was handled with Maryland and Willard, I think some of it could have been avoided, but that's the way it goes in these coaching carousels. I mean, that's part of it. And
when you got schools contacting other coaches who are still coaching, that's not really the coach's fault. I don't really get why everybody's mad at the coach.
Well, and then you got the agents talking to each other. I mean, it's going to happen.
I don't get why people are mad at the coach. What's the coach supposed to do about it?
Sometimes you have to turn it off. Like,
wait a second. The schools should know better and not do that crap when somebody's, Villanova knew that they were still in the damn NCAA tournament.
They did.
I mean, that to me, that's where all the wrong is. And I don't want to get into a big rant here, but I'm telling you, for me, that's who's in the damn wrong. And I get tired of hearing it about these coaches. Listen, it puts these coaches in a very tough spot. Will Wade was in a tough spot.
Well,
because NC State is talking to him while he's still in the damn tournament.
Well, and if you remember, they was talking to him and he ended up winning the game. And he ended up beating who was it they beat? Clemson in the first round. So, I mean, and Will Wade never let it affect him. Like, if you watch the post game,
it was affecting him. He was getting questions. He was kind of stumbling around stuff there for a little bit.
Yeah, but he played.
He won a game. You're right. He won a game. Well, Kevin Willard won 2 games. He got to the Sweet 16 despite all of that mess going on. And for me, I get tired of hearing, well, the coaches, they didn't handle that well, and they didn't do this. And all that's a bunch of bull crap to me. These schools know that they were still playing for something in March Madness. That's what needs to stop, in my opinion.
We better move on before Brad gets on one of his rants.
Listen, I'm telling you, I get tired of hearing the stuff that's just dumb. They get put in a bad spot. It's not good, and it's not their fault. They didn't put themselves in that situation. All right, John, I'm going to give you the floor and let you do some latest portal news. So I'll start real quick while you kind of get your thoughts together. On the women's side, Avery Howell from USC, who was the top recruit in the number one recruiting class at USC, has put her name in the portal tonight. John Briley Glenn, who was part of that K-State team, the Glenn girl that could shoot, she put her name in the portal tonight as well. The women's portal is crazy. Olivia Miles, who is the second team, top 10 player in the country, Olivia Miles is in the damn portal. Tanaya Latson, who is the 6th player listed on the All-American thing that I listed a while ago, is in the portal. The women's stuff is wild, what's going on.
It is. And the men's is right on target as well. You know, Silas Demery, former Georgia transfer, he's probably not coming to Kentucky. According to what I've seen tonight, that he's more a UConn lean, and he got a crystal ball to UConn. So it looks like he's going to UConn. Keyshawn Hall was another Zoom meeting that we done. He's officially going to Auburn. Big time pickup. He's probably one of the talented wings in the portal. He averaged 18 points a game. Me and Brad talked about him before we got on the show. He can fill it up. He can really get when he gets going. He's hard to deal with, and Auburn got a big piece of him for next year and beyond. I'm trying to see. There was a few names. Dusty Stromer
led the Big 12.
And Dusty Stromer, the Gonzaga guard that gave us fits in December, he's going to Grand Canyon. It was just announced a few minutes ago. He's going to Grand Canyon. And I'm going to say this from a Kentucky standpoint on the portal. You know, I understand why fans are frustrated, but you got to remember, Pope put a roster together last year when there was nobody there. We had nobody. I mean, you had Z going to Arkansas. You had Wagner going to
Arkansas. When he started, let me remind these people that his first the first commitment that Pope got last year was April the 21st.
It was Amari Williams from Drexel.
It was April 21st. He was not his press conference wasn't until April 12th. On April 2nd last year, John Calipari was still our coach, and we still thought that the recruiting class he had was going to be here and everybody and everything else. So let me remind you that Pope had to put 12 players together because the only player he had was Travis Perry.
See, now I will agree a little bit about the point guard options. They're kind of dwindling a little bit, but maybe there's a guy that ain't in the portal. Maybe there's a guy that we've not talked about. I understand it from a fan's point of view.
I wish the media would calm down.
I do.
And I'm not talking about the real media. I'm talking about the media the people on X that thinks they're insiders and feeding information.
Here's the thing Chris Fisher brought out a good point.
About.
Chris Fisher brought out a good point last night. Was it last night? Yeah, it was last night. He said, if you have not earned Pope's trust based on last year's haul, you got to let the process play out and reserve judgment until you see the finished product. He said, I'd venture that there's probably some players that haven't even some good portal players that haven't even hit the portal yet. And
venture, there's still 3 weeks open, and you got all these coaching changes. Let me remind you, every time a coach leaves a school, the portal's open for 30 days for that school.
Well, and then you got a dead period here, which me and Brad was going on about from April 3rd to the 7th. And then you got the house settlement
which
thing.
is dumb. How do you have a dead period right in the middle of the open window for transfer portal? That's the dumbest crap. NCAA is so stupid.
And then you got the house settlement thing where teams with revenue are going to get added money to the NIL and the 15 rosters, which would probably take away walk-ons in this case, which could be a big help to the roster. Pope is doing his due diligence. I don't think Pope is sitting back not doing nothing. Listen, folks, he went to Chicago to see Yaxel Lindenborg.
Yeah.
Like, he's not sitting in his office in Lexington.
How do you have a dead period right in the middle of your open window for the transfer portal? That's the dumbest. The NCAA is run by the dumbest people that's ever lived the earth. I mean, seriously.
Let's think about this, Brad. Last year, let's look at this from last year. Who had the best portal? It was Baylor?
Yes,
Arkansas.
Jerry. Every single time a coach leaves, the portal is open. So all these coaching changes, it's not open for everybody. It's open for that school. So Villanova, Texas A&M now has an extra 30 days from the day he took the job. Whoever takes the Texas A&M job, wherever he comes from, McNeese State has a portal open. I mean, all these for 30 to every time a coach changes, their portal is open for 30 days.
See, and here's the thing that people don't understand. It's not about the name of the player. It's about the fit. Putting pieces together. You look at last year, Brad. The 4 teams that done really well.
Pope's trying to do.
That done really well in the portal. Baylor, they got 2 top 10 transfers and Omer and Roach, right? Then you had Arkansas that got Jonas Adu and John L. Davis. You had Indiana. Yeah. Indiana was another big one that had some big time portal entries. And then you had Kansas, which we saw how that ended up with A.J. Storr, Rylan Griffith, Zeke Mayo just never did fit. The pieces never did fit. So here and then here's what I want to say before we move on to for the girls' Final Four. Not everybody's an insider.
I'm telling you, these people wear me out. They wear me out. Sometimes you just need to shut the hell up. Seriously.
Here's the thing that gets me. We got these, I wouldn't call them fake Kentucky fans. They're Kentucky fans. But they're on these different boards saying, well, we got Yaxville or we got Keyshawn Hall.
I heard this. I heard that.
There's going to be a crystal ball here. And listen, me and Brad are trying to get into media, okay? That's one job I would not want.
But I'm going to tell you this, John. I know a bunch of media people, okay? In real life, I know people around Kentucky program, okay? But I'm going to tell you this. It isn't easy to get inside scoop that really resonates and is true. And I know people. It's not an easy job. These people that think they know something, that put something out.
Well, in the whole thing behind a paywall, I get it because they're trying to pay for their family.
Well, I'll tell you what. You don't see me, and I know some people, and you don't see me putting stuff out. You know why? Because I'm not going to get blamed for this and blamed for that, and I'm not going to. And trust me, I know a few people. I hear a few things.
Wireman.
I'm not a big insider. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that.
Wireman, tell me this. I want you to answer this, Wireman. One wrong move, because you've been with Nation of Blue for, I don't know, a long time.
Yeah.
One wrong move, and your credibility is smashed. you're done for. People won't believe a word you say. You know, that's why I don't want to ever be an insider, because there's too much stuff going on in this portal stuff. Let me say this real quick, Brad. When you're
I
in
heard
this
some stuff. I heard some stuff this morning on the Magoon thing.
when you're in this
I've kept my mouth shut. I'm not, because I don't know if that's true or not. But
when you're in this portal stuff, things change hour after hour. Like, okay, for instance, I'm going to give you an example. Say we're talking to Yaxel, okay? Say I'm inside and I hear every little information that's going on. Well, Kentucky's going to drop $2.5 million on him. Well, here comes Auburn. We're going to drop 2.6.
And an hour later, 30 minutes after you talk to them, they get another phone call and get more money. How the hell are you supposed to keep up with that all the time?
You know, I understand it from a insider. That's your job. And you know, with the whole paywall thing, I get it, because you're trying to support your family, feed your family for your job. I get it. I want to tell you something. I respect Jack Pilgrim for what he does and how he tries to get information. He's one, to me, Brad. I don't know if you know him personally, but to me, he's one of the best.
Jack.
He's one
I'm
of the
telling
best.
you, I know a lot of these people. Yes, I know.
To me,
Jack
he's
Pilgrim.
one of the best when it comes to this stuff. And one wrong move, and like I said, your credibility smashed.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I do not want to ever be, is an insider, because it changes, it fluctuates and changes. And it's just
All right,
it's one of those
we're going
jobs.
to move on. We've been talking about that for 10 minutes, different portal stuff. So, but we're going to move on. We're going to get to the Final Four stuff. I want to have a little bit of time here to kind of break each team down, break the games down. Like I said, the women's Final Four is in Tampa, and two SEC teams here, John. The SEC gets 2 in the women and 2 in the men. And unfortunately, or maybe it's fortunate, I'm not real sure how you see it, but in each one, they play each other in the semifinals. The first one here is Texas versus South Carolina. I had the fortune to see the championship game in the SEC women's tournament courtside, live, as media. I got to see, they have 3 matchups this year. This is the 4th Texas versus South Carolina matchup on the women's side this season. It was 1-1 going into each team won their home games in the regular season. And then South Carolina got the best of them in the SEC women's basketball final. And now we're getting the 4th matchup, John.
Can't beat it, can you, in the Final Four? You know, you got a Texas team that's built with size, you know, Taylor Jones, Kyla Oldacre, Rory Harmon. Then you got in the middle, Madison Booker. She provides a lot of length. Shay Holly, is it Holly?
Holly. It's Holly. Yeah.
Holly. They're really physical. They come after you.
Man, they
really
play such great defense.
They're good at executing against high level, against good offenses. My biggest issue with Texas in this Final Four is their lack of 3-point shooting.
It is a concern. But I'm going to be honest with you. South Carolina don't shoot great either.
They don't.
I mean, they shoot better than Texas, but they don't fill it up from 3-point line.
Let me ask you a question, and this is just me and you talking. Do you think South Carolina is vulnerable right now?
I kind of do. Listen, I picked South Carolina. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it's tough to go against her, but I'm going to tell you, Vic Schaefer is one hell of a coach. And not only that, man, he eats, sleeps, and breathes basketball and these girls. I've been around them. I've been in front of him twice. I've seen their games. not twice. I've been in front of his games. He played 3. I mean, I've seen
The
like
reason-
4
The
of
reason
their
I
games.
asked that, the reason I asked that is because the last 3 games, South Carolina's shot selection has not been great.
They have not played well offensively in this tournament. They have not. Now, they looked really good in the SEC tournament. I'm not sure what the difference is, but I will get to one point that I have here before we move on from this game. So just talking about the Texas side, Madison Booker is elite. I mean,
She's good.
she is possibly the best mid-range
She got a mid-range game.
scorer in the game. Okay,
She's got an impressive mid-range game.
she's got an impressive. Really, she's probably the best mid-range scorer in the women's game. She's really, really good. Now, Holly is their three-point shooter. Basically, really and truthfully, about their only threat from the three-point line is Holly.
You want to know what
But
key stat?
you put Jones in the middle, and I'm going to tell you, John, she does not get the credit that she deserves. But if you watched that game the other day in the Elite Eight, Oldacre off the bench brings a ton of physicality and rebounding and scoring in that middle.
Yeah, I watched her.
She is
I watched
tough
her against
as
Kentucky.
nails.
She was beating our girls to death in the post.
She's huge. She's like 6'6" and probably weighs, I don't know, 240 or 250. She's
I read
huge.
a stat. I read a stat today, Brad, on Texas. I think it was ESPN. It was on Madison Booker. In her last 3 meetings with the Gamecocks, she shot 14 for 54 from the field.
Yep.
That's
And
got to be better.
That right there is going to be a severely telling story on how this game goes, because I love Oldacre. I think Taylor Jones is good down low and physical. She's 6'6" as well. I mean, that both of them are big girls. Both are great. Holly can score. I love Rory Harmon. Harmon is just destined to get you 8 to 12 points a game and 6-8 assists. Preston off the bench, a freshman, the kind of point guard that kind of runs the show some. She's really good. I know these teams, John. I know them well, really well. I've seen them play several times in person this year. South Carolina. John, I have one issue with what's going on with South Carolina, and the last few games have been screaming this at the TV while I am watching these games. Where is Malaysia Fulwiley when the game is on the line? Listen, I love Dawn. Dawn, I love you, man. I really do. You're the greatest coach. But, man, if you have ever watched Malaysia Fulwiley play basketball, she's lightning in a bottle with the ball.
She is.
She's lightning. There is nobody, and I mean nobody, that can keep up with her.
Well,
and that's with her with the ball. She is blowing by everybody on the court.
And Stephen,
the reason why I'm asking this question is this. They've been struggling to score. Who is the one player that they can't keep up with that can get to the basket and score? It's Malaysia Fulwiley.
Here's where it kind of boils down to. Which defense do you trust more?
God, and that is so. Listen,
and Staley's.
My answer to that, John, is this: watching them separately. Okay, watching these two teams play not against each other, separately. I would say Texas has the best defense.
They do, but I think
But when you watch the 3 games that they have played together versus each other, I think it's South Carolina.
yeah, that's why I'm picking South Carolina. Chloe Kitts is another one. I forgot to bring her up.
I love Chloe Kitts. You have no idea. I've seen her play for 2 years. I've been courtside and saw probably 8 or 10 games or more that she's played. I love Chloe. Chloe gets all the credit. She was MVP of the SEC tournament. She was also MVP of the region that they just won. Chloe Kitts was. She is by far, I think, been their best player. Now, Fegan has been playing well too, but I think Fegan's going to struggle some. She's only 6'3", and I think she's going to struggle some against Oldacre and Taylor Jones.
But
the one that's got to step up and play like she does is Chloe Kitts.
But when it comes down to it, though, I think I'm going to have to go with South Carolina. I just can't go against Dawn Staley.
And I'm going to give you one more player to keep your eye out on who hasn't shot well in the NCAA tournament. Tahina Paopao needs to step up and hit some threes for South Carolina to relieve some of, because they've been playing through down low. They can't hit anything. Bree Hall hasn't hit anything. They've just struggled outside. And it's really clogged up the outside, and they've struggled scoring. Hall or Tahina Paopao have to open it up and hit a few threes.
I was getting ready to say that, Brian. He said, by the way, fans are tracking a plane with Pope on it right now. Our fans are nuts, man.
Yeah, they are.
They're nuts. When John Calipari at one point said, "You people are crazy," that's exactly what he meant.
All right, so man, this is a tough game. I love both of these teams. I actually really, truly respect both of these coaches and the work they put in, how much they love their kids. This is a tough one. And I can't go against Dawn, but they really haven't played well. So it kind of scares me. But I think I'm going to go the Gamecocks here to get to the finals.
That's where I'm at.
All right, John, in the second game, we got number 2 UConn versus the overall.
Jerry, you've always been crazy, Jerry.
The overall number 1 seed, UCLA. This is UCLA's first ever Final Four, and UConn makes it every year. And when I say every year, I'm pretty sure this is literally like 18 of the last 19 or 20 that they have made.
Yep. I really love this LSU team.
LSU.
I mean, UCLA. I don't know why I said LSU. I guess
they
because
beat LSU.
They beat LSU is what it was.
Yeah.
I really like this UCLA team.
Yes,
I think
Jerry,
they're really good. You know, the thing that really bothers me is they don't have a lot of Final Four experience. They do have Lauren Betts. She's one of the best big girls in the middle. I think she's really, really good. She's going to create some problems for UConn. Then you've got Kiki Rice, her playmaking ability, Tamia Gardner's three-point shooting, Jacquez, her just overall feel for the game. But then you look over and you got UConn, and they haven't won
Vasquez. Isn't it Vasquez?
Yeah. And they haven't won a title since
You remember Jaime?
Jaime, yeah, it's his sister.
So both of them took UCLA to the Final Four. Just a little tidbit there for you.
Yeah. And then you got UConn, which, I've watched UConn all year. Their offense is really efficient. Fudd, Beckers. This team can score. When they're healthy,
Well,
they
can score when Paige Beckers is playing the way she has been playing. I watched them early on where Paige wasn't playing that well, and this team did not look good. But the last 10 games, she's played like a superstar.
I think where I'm kind of uneasy about UConn is their lack of size against Lauren Betts.
Yeah, me too. A little bit.
How are they going to neutralize Lauren Betts? Like, she's a lot to deal with in the post. She can really get after it.
Well, the only way UCLA's got a chance in this game is she's got to dominate. Betts has got to dominate.
She just got to go off. Strong's got to play big too. I think Strong's got to play really big.
Very strong for
UCLA. You can't get in foul trouble. But I'm gonna give you my pick real quick early. As much as I really love the fact that UCLA got here, and they've had an unbelievable season. They've done some really great things. I think two of their losses, 3 come to USC.
They've only got 2 losses, and both of them are to USC.
USC, yeah. So, but I think I'm going to go with experience here. And Gino, it's hard to pick against him in the Final Four. And I think he'll be playing Don Staley in what will be an absolute thriller.
Just war. I mean, if you miss that game, you need your basketball card pulled. You get to watch no more basketball ever in your life if you miss.
But I'm not saying UCLA doesn't have a chance. I think where they're going to have to really work is give the ball to Betts and let her go to work, because I don't think they're going to be able to. They're going to have. I don't think
Vasquez can hit threes like she did the other night. I think she knocked down 4 or 5 the other night. I mean, if they can shoot to go with Betts down low, and she can have, 28 and 14 or something and dominate down low, I think this UCLA team is dangerous. I really do. Kiki Rice, I think this team is dangerous. Now, having said all that,
I'll say this.
Have you seen the way Paige Beckers is playing in the NCAA tournament?
She's having herself a ball.
I mean, she's had 40, she's had 34, she had 31. I mean, she's been 30-plus every damn game.
Here's the problem that you're going to have. Lindsay Gottlieb mentioned it the other night I think it's post game. You're playing against a team that likes to spread the floor and you can go 5 guards.
Yep.
And
they got the Chan girl. But I don't know if that'll work against Lauren Betts.
No, they'll have to do some other things to kind of neutralize that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go UConn. I'm going to go UConn. And then for the title game, I'm just going to go ahead and pick mine. I'm going to pick Don Staley. I think they're coming in here with a purpose. I think they got something to prove. I think, the last 3 games, they haven't played really great. Shot selection hasn't been great. But I think when it's all said and done, she'll be lifting another title up in her office. And unbelievable what she's done. I mean, she's the GOAT of women basketball, I think. You can.
Well, let me pick my game. Let me pick mine here.
Gino's there, but I think she's
at the UConn and UCLA game here. This one's a tough. Both of these games are tough. Everything in my brain says to pick UConn here because of the way Paige Beckers has been playing. But, man, sooner or later, she can't hit 35 again, right? I mean, You would think she's going to have an off night here. You would think.
Well, this is where she plays her best.
I get it. I mean, she's a superstar and she's playing. I get it, but there's something in my brain that tells me that she might have a struggle shooting night here and be, I don't know, 6 of 21 or something. She's still going to have several points, but just struggle shooting. And if Betts and company can shoot the ball and play well, because UConn's going to run. This isn't going to be a low-scoring game. The Texas-South Carolina game will be lucky if it gets above 62 points.
Yep.
64. This game will not be a low-scoring game. This will be in the 70s or 80s. I would almost guarantee it. This game will not be a low-scoring game. I think UCLA has a chance here. So just to be different, I'm going to pick UCLA to match up against South Carolina, which will be interesting because UCLA is one of the teams that beat South Carolina this year.
Yep.
They beat them early in the season, preseason, and beat them by 10-plus points.
So I think the revenge factor would probably balance that out. And
all right, so finals matchups, you said UConn. Just to throw this out there, UConn actually went into Colonial Life and ended their streak.
Yes, there's different variables for this championship.
And beat them badly, like 30 points. South Carolina played terrible. UConn filled it up. Beckers filled it up that day, and they played terrible. Beat them, I don't know if it was 30, but it was bad. It was 20. I know it was 20 plus.
It was around there. Yeah.
Yeah. So both of these teams, interestingly enough, beat them this year. So there's going to be a revenge factor because of that. John, just like what you said, I am picking the South Carolina Gamecocks. I can't go against them. I think Don's going to get them fired up because these teams are the teams that beat them. Interesting enough, South Carolina's lost 3 games this year. Do you know what 3 teams they lost to?
Texas, UCLA, and UConn.
Yep. South Carolina's lost 3 games this year. The 3 teams that's in the Final Four besides them is Texas, UCLA, and UConn.
Yep. That's why I said I think Don's coming in here motivated.
Now, don't you go out there and say that I said Don loses to all the teams because Don also beat Texas twice.
She did.
But one of the games she lost to them, and then she lost to UConn and UCLA. That's the only game she's lost all year. All right, John, we're going to switch it up and go to the men's. This is the second time ever that all 4 seeds, all 4 number 1 seeds made the Final Four. The only other time that it ever happened was 2008.
Yeah, you got Cooper Flagg going up against a really good defensive team in Houston. You got Auburn, Florida, all SEC matchup. Both of them can score. I like Auburn's defense a little bit better than I do Florida's, but I like Florida's offense a little bit better. Can't beat this. Like, if you're not watching the Final Four next Saturday,
listen, this is going to be incredible. These are like 4 of the top efficient teams in KenPom ever. All 4 of them are in the top 10 overall ever. This is like elite.
The stars are coming out for this one.
Teams and matchups.
Are you going to do the Florida game first? Okay.
Yep. So
the
first game Saturday night is in San Antonio. These games are played in San Antonio. We got SEC matchup again, John.
You do. You got Janai Broome, senior leader for Auburn. You got Walter Clayton Jr. Broom's been on a tear. He's averaged 23 points per game in the last 2 games. Clayton
Did you see that Dick Vitale fell for a Broom was going to be out thing?
Yeah,
Did you see that?
April Fool's prank. Yeah, I felt
Yeah.
bad for the guy.
I had to throw that out there, but it was kind of funny a little bit.
They ain't nobody in the country right now, Brad, that's playing better than Walter Clayton Jr.
No,
he's playing at a level that he just broke off a 30-point performance. He scored 23 plus in 3 of the 4 tournament games. You look at this game, and he handled that game against Auburn in Auburn. They shot the ball, I think, 60%.
So there's going to be a revenge factor because they got him in Auburn.
I like Florida in this game. They're really good from the free throw line. They have some edges at guard. Now, I'm not going to lie. I love Auburn. I like Miles Kelly. I like Pettiford. But it feels like Florida.
Pettiford's had some good games as well.
It just feels like Florida just has that edge about them. They get behind 10 points against 8 points against Texas Tech. They come back and win the game. They got behind 3 to UConn.
I'm gonna be honest with you, John. The last game, I thought they were dead in the water.
It just feels
they closed that game the last 2 minutes and 52 seconds on an 18-4 run.
Yeah, it was. And Walter Clayton hit some unbelievable shots.
Houck, or however he pronounces his name, don't look like Houck to me, but that's the way he pronounces it.
I think. And then
it's Houck.
It's not
pronounce it Houck.
You got Condon in the middle for a big man that can come out to the.
Yeah, but did you see those 2 3-pointers that Houck hit in that stretch? That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, that was impressive. And then you had Walter Clayton Jr. hit the big 3 to what was it, tie it up. Then he hit another one.
I thought they were dead in the water. Matter of fact, John, my sister texted me as that game was closing out, okay? There was about 5 minutes on the clock. And my sister texted me, and she said, well, it looks like my bracket's going to be busted. And we text back and forth, and it got to about the 2-minute, 30-second mark, and I told her, I said, wait a second, they might make a run here. And me and her text back and forth, and it was just wild. I was like, wow. I couldn't believe they pulled that out.
You ready for my prediction?
Go ahead.
I love Bruce Pearl. I think he's one of the top coaches in the game. But I just really, really like this Florida team. I think this Florida team is special. I think they're playing with an edge.
One other quick thing, The Apprentice is going against the legend, I guess you could say. So I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Bruce Pearl is the first one that hired Golden, and he used to sit on the bench. He is actually best friends with Stephen Pearl, who is one of the lead assistant coaches and the son of Bruce Pearl that sits on the bench.
Yep. And I just think I'm going to go Gators here. And if people don't remember, Todd Golden used to play basketball too.
He played for St. Mary's.
Sure did.
Yep. Todd Golden did.
Played from 2004 to 08, I think. He got a job at San Francisco. Actually, I think he started – where did he start at? He started at Columbia, his coaching career as assistant. He coached at Auburn for, 2 years?
Uh-huh.
And then he went to San Francisco and got the job out there. But I like this Golden guy. I think he's going to be motivated to win this game, and I'm taking the Gators to make it to the national championship.
God, I really thought you might take Auburn here. Man, it is so hard to pick against this Auburn team.
It is, man.
What?
But this Florida team.
Let me tell you what is so great about these teams. And this is something I want everybody to notice about college basketball. I thought the last 2 or 3 years this was the case as well. But both of these teams can go like 10, 11, 12 deep. And they run players in and out. Nobody, I mean, you got 1 or 2 players like Broom or whatever that play a lot. But, I mean, most of these players do not play 35, 40 minutes a game. Clayton does and Janiah Broom does. But outside of them two, hardly, they hardly don't because they run guys in and out. Yeah. Florida's got like 4 really damn good bigs. I mean, just
Chinyalu is another one. He's a big guy.
Yes, that they can run in and out.
Aberdeen's another one of their guards.
They've got so many good bigs that it's just insane, and they can go so deep. Duke, who we will get to, is another one that can do that and plays that way. But God, I have loved Auburn all year and everything in me because I have talked about Auburn since November the 15th. Have I not?
You have. You said they was the best team in basketball.
Then why do I want to pick Florida here, damn it?
I just think Florida's playing.
It irks me because I have been on Auburn all year long. And shit.
I think Florida has the size to handle Auburn.
I do too.
I think
even though there's going to be an element here that Broom is going to try to have a little bit of revenge. So there will be that element here. But I think I'm going to go Florida in this game, John. Which kind of hurts my soul because I've been saying Auburn's the best team in basketball all year long.
This one right here might be the best game of the night.
This one is so intriguing, John. This is in San Antonio again, Final Four, 2-1 seeds.
Let me give you a stat.
Wait a second, John. Houston is possibly the best defensive team. And Duke is probably the best offensive team, or pretty close.
Yeah, they got the best lineup in college basketball, I think.
It's just an intriguing matchup, defense to offense, and who's going to win.
Let me read you some of these stats. Houston has allowed just 56.5 points per game, the fewest surrendered in this tournament, right? They've held teams to shooting 38% with more turnovers per game, 13.4 assists. They have been shooting 39% from the field, which is uncharacteristic for a Houston team.
Yeah.
You got Roberts, you got L.J. Cryer, Miles Uzan. This team can flat score. And
that's the one thing that this team has that I think a couple of the other Houston teams
But when you go and look at the other side, Duke probably has the best offense in college basketball. They got Knueppel.
I mean, Florida and Auburn have and Alabama had a little say-so, but I mean, that's your top offensive teams.
Knueppel, you got Cooper Flagg, Malawach, and that ain't even counting Proctor that's playing out of his mind right now in the tournament. Houston has the best defense in this game, I think. Duke has the best lineup, in my opinion.
But who wins? Is Houston's tough as nails defense going to be able to keep them from scoring? Are they going to be able to hold Duke, who has been running up 90 points in every game? Are they going to be able to hold Duke to, I don't know, 70 points, 72 points?
Houston, as good as they are coached, and I think they're coached by a awesome coach, Kelvin Sampson. If nobody watched the inbounds play that they won against Purdue, y'all need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
The way he sets things up defensively, offensively, they go after balls. They're hard nosed. They get up in your face. Tennessee couldn't score for 2 or 3 minutes at times.
Tennessee looked pitiful.
They couldn't do anything.
But I don't think they can do what they did in Tennessee.
I'm gonna go here, Brad. As much as I hate to pick for them, I'm gonna put talent over a well-coached team. I just think Cooper Flagg and this team is destined to do something. And I just think Duke is going to the championship game. As much as we hate Duke in the state of Kentucky, this Duke team is really, really good.
They are, and I'm going to be honest with you, John. I had Alabama knocking them out. I thought Alabama, if they could shoot lights out like they did the game before that, I thought they had enough talent to knock Duke out.
You know what beat Alabama?
Listen,
Mark Spears.
Yeah, it is because he played like shit, to be honest.
He played awful that game. So
but I'm going to be honest with you, John. I think this is a very intriguing matchup. It's going to be interesting, and the first 10 minutes of the game will really be able to tell, I think, because if Duke can get out and run and play their offense like they normally look and have 25 or 30 points at the 10-minute mark, 12-minute mark, then our 8-minute mark after 12 minutes, then Houston's probably going to be in trouble here. If Houston can dictate the tempo of this game and get Duke off of their rhythm, I think Houston has a chance.
I do.
In this game.
I just think Duke's going to be too much, unfortunately.
Something tells me that the 69-year-old Kelvin Sampson, that it's just his time, that it's his year.
Redemption story.
Like it just.
I'm for Houston.
It feels that way to me.
Five Slam and Jam. I'm for Houston, but I just think this Duke team is better. I think
talent-wise they are better.
Talent-wise, they are better.
Talent-wise, I think they are better. But I think the coaching-wise, defensively, Kelvin Sampson's just on another level.
I'm going to bring up a stat for you when we get to the championship game.
I'm going to go Houston, and I'm going to surprise everybody. I'm going to take Houston here.
Florida and Duke was mine, right?
Yep.
Florida went to their first Final Four in 1994, right?
Yep.
Years later, they meet Duke for the championship. And in that time, Duke had been to their 7th title game and 11th Final Four. So they had been there a couple times, a few more times. That kind of ending to a season between two bigs, Cooper Flagg, Walker Clayton, it's going to be showtime. And
Stephen, I think if Houston can hold them in the 60s, I think Houston wins.
And as much as I want to pick the Gators, I got to go Duke. I know people are going to, they're going to say, well, Duke winning the title is going to be, I'm going to be sick for a whole year. Well, better get ready for it.
You're probably right. They do have that kind of talent. My matchup here was Houston and Florida.
But I will say this, Brad.
It could be Florida and Duke.
I will say this, though. I think Florida is more equipped to play with Duke than Auburn is. Because Duke already beat them once.
Yeah.
Which that was at Cameron, which that don't mean anything now because it's in the tournament. But I think Florida, with their size, could neutralize what Duke wants to do.
I do too.
I think
agree with
their
that.
outside shooting can match with what Duke wants to do.
Well, and this matchup, if you go Houston here, it's a whole different game. I mean, Duke, Florida is going to be a high octane offense. It's going to be whoever can score 95 first wins this game, 91st wins this game, to be quite honest with you. And that's what kind of game it's going to be. Now, if it's Florida-Houston, it's a different game here.
It'll be kind of a different, yeah.
It'll be a different game here. It will not be a high octane game.
Houston's defense would kind of, I wouldn't say they would neutralize, but they would kind of push the Gators off the 3-point line. And that's something Florida's not used to. And I think they could make Florida very uncomfortable in that game.
All right, John's already blew it out of the water and picked his, so you got Duke winning it all, right?
I do. But if Houston, I'll say this much. If Houston gets to the championship game, they was a runner-up in 84 and 83, right? They've never won a championship.
Yeah, they've been runner-up.
This will be the first time they've ever been since the Clyde Drexler, Hakeem Olajuwon, and what was the other guy's name? What was his name?
I can't remember right off the top of my head. I watched all those games. I remember them, but I can't.
Michael Young.
Michael Young.
He played in the NBA some.
Yeah.
I had to look him up, but that will be for the first time since 84.
Yep.
And you talking about a city that has had a lot
of
tough luck.
This is in San Antonio, so it's not far from Houston.
That's had a lot of tough luck go their way. Just think what a championship bringing one back home to Houston would feel like.
Oh, man, they would just, like, seriously, if they can win it. But I'm going to be honest with you, John. I picked Florida in my brackets. I'm going to stick with my guns, and I'm going to pick Florida to win this thing. I really like this team. I love what Todd Gilden has done. I love the size and the guards that they have. I love that they have 10 or 11 guys.
Well, what they do,
they have 4 or 5 bigs.
What they do,
Walter Clayton Jr. is just an assassin.
Well, what they do is they bring one of their guys out, and it forces you to guard their big man, and then it opens up everybody. Like, their offense is run so smoothly. Like, I was watching the Texas Tech game, and there was times where just every single play, like pick and roll, for Clayton, a lot, like it was just beautiful basketball.
Elijah is just a bulldog on the floor. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like the Gators get another title here.
I think they get one too, but I still think the talented team in this whole Final Four is Duke. When you look at Cooper Flagg, Proctor, then you got.
He don't get the credit. People don't talk about him, but Knipple is talented as hell.
Knipple can shoot, and that's another X factor in this Final Four that if he gets hot, look out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Sunday night is the national championship game for the women's. So here's the deal. We did a live stream for the national championship game for football. So I thought it'd be cool if we do some live streams for the national championship games for basketball. And I'm going to try to have the same guy on, Will, that was with us for the football, and have him on for these Sunday night, the national championship game for the women. I thought we would have our College SportsCast national championship game live stream and just talk about the game and talk about the action. We can't show the game, but we can talk about it. And if you guys saw the championship game for football, we did the same thing.
If you show the game, we'd probably be blocked out of here.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't have a podcast anymore.
But we can talk about the plays, commentate, do things, and talk about the action, talk about players, talk about the coaches. And bring things up.
It's actually at 3 p.m. Eastern Sunday. It's early.
It's at 3 p.m. I didn't look and see.
It used to be on Monday. It used to be on Tuesday night after the men.
It did, but it's on Sunday this time.
Changed a lot. It's changed
It's
a lot.
Friday and Sunday this time. So on Sunday afternoon, then we will be doing a live stream for the national championship game for the women to kind of close out the season and celebrate the winners and the champions.
And Monday night,
Monday night,
we're going to do a Kentucky show, or is it if we have a?
Nope, we're going to do a live stream national championship on Monday night. We're going to do the same thing on Monday night for the men, and whoever's playing in the game, we will talk about the plays. We'll talk about the action. We will talk about the score and who's leading and who's like got 20 points and everything else. We'll talk about all the action. We'll talk about the winners. We'll talk about
then we'll get into some later next week or the week after. We'll get into some spring ball stuff for football.
Yeah. Actually, the football spring portal opens while basketball is open. It opens April 16th. So for a week, imagine this, John, for a week between the 16th and the 23rd, you're going to have women's basketball, men's basketball, and college football portals open at the same time.
And then you're going to have I lost train of thought. I'll go it tomorrow.
The draft, we'll cover.
Well,
the draft
I mean that with the draft, but there was, I can't remember what it was. I'll think of it.
Yeah, 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday is the women's. It's on ABC, and we will cover that. And then the men's is on CBS. But we won't be showing the games. We'll just be commentating it and doing a live stream and talking about players and things and plays that's going on and timeouts and reviews and all the crap, bad calls, anything that's going on in the game, we'll kind of be talking about. So just wanted to put that out there. That's going to be our next two shows. I thought it was fun doing the football one. John and I really kind of liked doing the national championship game.
I was half asleep during most.
yeah, because it was late.
It was late.
Football, in football, it was like a 4-hour show.
To be fair, it was a little late.
Yeah. So, but it was pretty fun to do.
And here in a couple of weeks, I'm going to look at some football stuff, and I'm going to give you my early top 25 for college football because I didn't do that last year. I think I'm going to do that this year. There's some pieces that still need to be kind of rearranged on some teams. I will say this. Mark Stoops looks motivated. That's all I'll say. He looks like a different motivated coach.
I'm not buying. Not until we're 3 or 4 games in. I'm not buying. I'm sorry. I'm just not. Not this year. I'm not buying. You got to prove to me. You got to prove to me when it comes to Kentucky football. You too, Jerry. You got to prove to me that you have changed the culture, that you are going to have some discipline and create a little responsibility within that locker room, because those are some key things. So I got to see it on the field. And then I'll tell you if I think anything's changed about 3 or 4 games in.
Gary said, "Take care, fellas." By the way,
I put it up there. I
Oh, I didn't
appreciate
know.
you,
I
Jerry.
didn't know.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Jerry.
Even though he's a 49ers fan, I'll kind of let it slide.
All right, guys, we're going to close this up. I hope you guys enjoyed this season, enjoyed the basketball. We're going to close this up with 2 national championship game live streams. Close up the basketball season is what I mean. So look for Sunday night at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We will probably jump on, maybe 10 minutes before the game comes on, something like that. So look for us about 10 minutes before 3. We will jump on and kind of introduce the game and things of that nature. And then Monday night, we will do the same thing. We'll probably jump on about 10, maybe 15 minutes before for the men's side and kind of.
And we're still routing Stadium Rant. You forgot to mention that tonight.
Yep. Stadium Rant's been at the top of the screen the entire show. So we appreciate you guys, Steven, Jerry. There's been a few others on here with us tonight. Michelle Sullivan was on here with us tonight. There's been a few others as well. So Wireman was on. Kevin Nottingham was on.
There's a few others I did from YouTube. I don't remember.
Yeah. All right. So I appreciate you guys. We will see you on Sunday.
Have a good one.
Y'all have a good one. Enjoy what should be 4 really good games. Friday on ESPN channels. Check those out with the women. And then Saturday, CBS with the men. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.